And Louis is one that is actually very fascinating. I don't know if you've heard Sarah Silverman talk about it on a podcast, but she was like, when he asked and I said yes, he did it. But he did ask and I said no, he didn't do it. So I have to imagine that that's how he held himself with others. And then it gets into a weird area, like where it's like, yeah, you can still do fucked up things even within the boundaries of what we understand as consent, right? So it's like, now you're talking ethics and morality, and this is a minefield, because ethics to itself, my ethics and your ethics could be completely apart, right? Like when I hear a story of a husband cheating, I'm never like, that guy, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, what was the relationship like?
It's Johnny Late Night! And now here's your host, Johnny Rogers!
Welcome everyone to episode number 52 of the Johnny Rogers Show. My guest today is becoming a mainstay of the Toronto and Canadian comedy community with a unique blend of comedic styles. Having his roots in South Africa, he has gone on to perform at JFL 42, Yuk Yuks, Absolute Comedy, and opened for Hasan Minhaj and Trevor Wilson from Letterkenney. With his career growing to new heights, he co-founded Bubbie's Boys Presents, the Backroom Comedy Club, and is now the co-host of the Coke Dads podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my friend and yours, Ariel Kagan.
I learned in the pandemic that I just wasn't doing any of the work other than just I was doing stand-up, but that's one part of being a stand-up, right? So it was like, I was going and doing all these shows or whatever, and then having these like thoughts of like, when will I get my chance or whatever? And you're like, that's not how it works at all.
Yeah, for real. It just kind of happens at the right time. Like, I was listening to a conversation today, I can't remember what the podcast was, but they were talking about how, like, in relation to comedy even, there's like these waves based on what like the people need. So like if everything's really serious, then the kind of topical humor starts to like peak up more, but then it gets to a point where people are like, I'm sick of that, and then the more like abstract and like weird stuff starts to become really popular. And you're just like...
So you're saying I should change my act?
No, I'm not saying you should change your act.
Become an alt act? Like...
No, quite the opposite. I'm just saying like you have to keep being said. Yourself.
I'm doing it, okay?
Like, and end the show now.
Like, this is weird. I'll be like, it's Johnny Rogers.
He gave me the advice. Yeah. No, but like, keep doing your act, and then at some point, that will become a style that will catch on. Like, I was talking to a bunch of people about this, about music even, about how like there's certain artists who just like kept hammering away at their style of music because they enjoyed it, and then it just so happened to be the right time just in the culture and in the society for their stuff to kind of take off. It's weird to talk about like the idea of like bringing in your audience, but that's what you have to do, right? You're like, how else are you supposed to support yourself?
Ryan Long and Jay DeRayna, they really showed Toronto comics in particular. You hang out with Toronto comics all the time, and they say like, oh, we can't make it from here. We guys like, oh, you can. You just have to work. You have to work every day. Big ups to those two. They work harder than most. And you got to work hard in the way you want to work hard. And for us, in particular, it's producing that is that work, right? Like, it's easier for us to, for some reason, we are able to get people out to live things, but try to get them to follow us on social media, and it's hard, So it's like, we must be doing one part right, and now we just got to learn the other side of it. But it all takes time.
Yeah, it's interesting too to see, like, I've noticed there's like people that are fans of the shorter stuff, but it doesn't necessarily carry over to like a long form podcast like this. But I enjoy doing podcasting. Like, it's just a fun thing to do, to catch up with people and be curious and ask you like questions and like really dive into, kind of give you a chance also to like show off more of yourself, so that the people who follow me now want to follow you. I don't think that there's enough of that kind of cross-pollination in our area going on. I see that a lot in the US. Like you see, if like say Whitney Cummings comes to New York City, well, I'm going to see her on like 6 of the podcasts that I listen to because they're all on the same network, you know? So
sure.
we need to start building that for ourselves in Canada. Like I'm in Ottawa, you're in Toronto, like there's maybe another person in Vancouver, and you're just circulating that audience.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you always want to do more of this stuff, but it's a limited scope of who has shows, even just knowing what podcasts to do.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, good for you for going for it. You know, something you want to help change. That's good. You know, I mean, our podcast is very different.
yeah. Talk about Coke dads.
Yeah. So we're
That's
actually doing a brand update. We recorded episode 24 and 25 today. At episode 25, at episode 25, we're gonna do a break and a rebrand, and we're gonna add Sons of somewhere in the logo because most people are like, "What?" It's like, again, it's an intense thing, but you know,
it's smoking crack off of a baby's head. Yeah,
he's doing
pretty hard.
He's doing coke off the baby, but like. It's clearly a joke, firstly. Secondly, you know, that was our lives for Brandon and I, right? Like me a bit more so, you know, my dad was like a proper addict, right? Where Brandon's dad like kept it together, was like a functioning addict.
Oh, okay.
You know
he just did it at
So,
like parties and on his lunch.
Yeah, and like, you know, just get me through the day, have a little num. Again, I can't rarely talk fully for Brandon's experience.
Brandon will be on, so we'll hear more from him too.
One of the things that bound us as friends was we realized just how much we had in common. It's both.
How did that conversation come up?
I mean, we just hung out, and eventually, you know, I talk about my dad pretty openly in that, especially where I'm at in my own life, right? Because right now, you know, I do all the mental health work that is being prescribed to us. And a lot of that is facing yourself. And one of the ones that comes up a lot for me is nature versus learned behavior. And with me, it's like, you know, on one hand, my dad was diagnosed with manic depression. I was diagnosed with bipolar like a year ago. So, you know, it's like there's the through lines. So, you know, you're talking about your life and how you want to be as a person, and it comes up when you're friends. You know, Brendan and I talk pretty openly about most things. And so it just came up, like, you know, that his dad had done it, my dad had done it. You know, we're both Jews. We're both, premature babies. They're just like our childhoods were actually similar in tone. Yeah. The actual events were different, but like similar upbringings and stuff. So, you know, that's how we became friends, really. And, you know, he came into my life at a time where I desperately needed someone, and same with him. You know, again, I can't really talk for him too much, but like, you know, he had developed some problems, and then I had developed some problems. And when we entered each other's lives, there was like a person there to go, "Oh, we have problems."
Mm-hmm. Look at us with our problems. Yeah,
I mean, it's always easier to go through stuff when you have people, right? Like, it's
100%.
one of the hardest parts is like knowing who your people are, you know.
Yeah, that trust thing is a motherfucker, right? Like just meeting a person and being like, all right, you're cool, but like, can I trust you? You know?
Have you tried it? How old are you?
I'm just turned 30. I will be 31 in October, so.
I don't know how many friends you have, but like during the pandemic, I realized I really only had like 1 or 2 friends.
Yeah.
And then I was just
100%.
Every guy I thought I could be friends with during the pandemic, I was like, "Want to be my friend? Want to be my friend?" It's so weird. Just being like, "Oh, we have this guy." It was so weird, man.
Yeah, I went to the beach. I went to the beach here with my girlfriend, and we were just people watching essentially while drinking some beers, and it was the funniest thing to watch, like a dude alone on the beach, and he was just kind of like bopping from like friend group to friend group, and almost like just inserting himself to
Yeah,
just
please,
be like,
I need
hey, I'm Danny, I'm fun, look at me, fun Danny. He'd like kick a soccer ball and be like, what's up, bro? And you'd see him like really try to bond. And like some people were like looking at him like, no. And then his confidence just went right to the next group, and they vibed with him, and he stayed with that group the rest of the day.
Nice.
I was like,
Good
yo,
for
this was
Danny.
crazy to watch.
Good Danny. I like Danny.
That's brave, dude. You know, because like it's exactly what you said. In the pandemic, there's like all of these people that you meet and like maybe even see frequently that you start to think maybe in your head like, oh yeah, I would consider that person a friend. You know, we've always been kind to each other in person, but that is almost putting too much weight and expectation on what that connection actually is, right? It's no different than like people you worked with. It's like you just happen to be in the same place frequently. That doesn't mean that they're going to pick you up at the airport, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can make those relationships there, but
yeah, but it's not with everyone, you know?
Yeah. I struggle in an office, man. I've had a few office jobs in the last few years, and it's just like, you can't put me there, you know? Like, people just do not, because, you know, again, mentally ill and just doesn't vibe at times, you know, just like, right?
Especially when it's conflicting mental illnesses.
Oh, this one lady, one day she talked about avocados for like 20 minutes, and then I went to my desk. I like walked away. I was like, I'm done with this conversation. Walked to my desk, and she followed me to my desk to tell me more about the avocados. And you're like,
oh my god,
I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna go buy a bag of avocados and hit her with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember I used to work at a gym, and I worked always with one other person, and this one older dude that worked there as well. He would just, in the middle of his shift, just fuck off. He would just like go for a walk around the gym and just leave me there by myself. I'm like, I fucking can't stand this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the only, but you have no choice. You're just locked in this little desk area with this person that you just have to be like, so.
Yeah, what I think now is like, it's if I dislike someone or there's something about someone that irritates me, I go, okay, well, what behavior of my own are they reminding me of? Right? Because that's all it always is. It's like you're annoyed by, or the person they're reminding you of. It's never that person in particular. And so it's like, once you start, that's an exhausting way to go through life, though. Every time you're talking to someone and you feel slightly annoyed, you're like, oh, let me be reflective on this. It's just too much.
Yeah, being just like, you can't have too many eye roll moments in your life. Like sometimes you just have to enjoy shit, even, you know? Like if you're doing that so much, it's just like, oh, god damn, are you ever happy about fucking anything? I was, one thing I wanted to bring up with you, and I have it right here with me, is on your advice, which way am I throwing here? You told me to buy this book. And it was great.
Yeah.
It's really,
it's a bit dated, the book itself.
Yeah.
It has some things about masculinity I don't necessarily agree with. But in terms of understanding people-pleasing behavior, that book nails it.
Dude, exactly. That was my point exactly. Is like, anytime I read somebody, I'll remember this so clearly. I had a roommate who was like obsessed with books. He had like bookshelves upon bookshelves upon his thing was reading. You know what I mean? He was like, if I read all these books, I'll just fill my head with the knowledge, and then I'll have that knowledge accessible whenever I want. And he was really going hard on that. And then this older friend like comes over and he's like, man, what are you reading all those books for? Like, why don't you go do something? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm going to do the thing after I gain the knowledge on how to do the thing. And he goes, you know, anyone could write a book, right? He's like, it's not like all, just because it's in a book, like it's the right ideas that you need. You know, someone could just be 100%. Spewing bullshit and get a publisher and put it out. And I was like, damn, he's right, but also he's right too, you know, because you can read a book and you can gain knowledge from parts of it, but you don't have to like absorb every single like personality trait that this person like puts out in the book, where you're like, okay, well, that's just your opinion on that thing. I actually don't agree with that.
Yeah, there's definitely that, and more so like, who's telling you? We're all making. I hate that life is literally built up off the motto "fake it till you make it." I hate that. I hate it, but it's so like.
It's like, make it to what?
Yeah, to like kind of just get through life. We're like just making it up. Like that's how I do it. It's like pretty insane.
Yeah,
But you know, I've turned my life around in a way I'm proud of. You know, it's hard. I don't like talking so positively about myself, and it's one of the things in my own mind I'm trying to fight right now. It's like the other day I thought something nice about myself and I just cried because it felt so unnatural, right? So you're like, and I'm such a hyper emotional person that the fact that can even happen confuses people. You know, I'm just out in public, have a good thought, and then I'm like all of a sudden I'm crying. People are like, what's happening? And you're like, I don't know. Like, it's just how I feel things, man. I can't explain that. And yeah, it's but I found out I had dyslexia, so I don't really read books. Actually, I just listen to them. I'm trying to read more now. Now that I know and can notify triggers and things like that, it's so much more insane. Like you're just like, oh, I'm not gonna even try to read this. It's too much. It's too much. But I mean, Audible is amazing. For the $15-$16 you pay a month, you get a book, and they have all this free content that is honestly leaps and bounds better than a lot of the content out there. It's like well done, really well thought out. Do you have Audible?
I've done the like free trial versions and just loved it. Like my favorite part about it is that like a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time it's the author narrating the book.
Yeah, that's the best.
Which is so great. Like I listened to the like astrophysics, like it's like the Neil deGrasse Tyson book that he put out, and it's him reading the book, and you're like, this is just perfect. Like it just couldn't be.
How was that?
It was actually really good. Did I retain anything? Probably not, but it was like, it was cool.
Well, I can't even check if you did, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You can. What question are you gonna ask me?
Hold on, I'm actually talking to an expert in the field.
You're like, I just happened to go to school for astrophysics.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've heard on some other books, the authors they even go on like tangents, like off of like what's actually in the book, and they're like, oh yeah, let me just add some context here and explain like what I actually meant from this. And you're like, okay, that's really cool too, that they're not just reading their script, they're like using it as like a podcast almost.
Another good one, I read it just before the Oscars, but the Will Smith book is exceptionally good. It's very honest. It's a very.
You're sitting there at the Oscars, like, man, I love Will Smith, and then you're like, well, no.
Well, no, more like he did it, and I was like, I'm not surprised based on everything he told me about himself in the book. Yeah. One of his biggest triggers that he talks about in the book is this, like, how he never stood up for people in his life. You know, when he had an abusive dad, he always kept his mouth shut because he didn't want to cause anything. And so, in that moment, I'm sure he was just fighting some demons, if it isn't staged. So part of me thought it was a little staged.
Yeah, I don't know. And even like, I think it was definitely a real hit and a real moment of like anger, and he was sitting right in the front row. So it was very easy for him to just get up and just smack Chris in just like a blind rage. Like I've seen people go into a blind rage and it's scary. Like it's just like hollow eyes almost. They're just so fucking locked in.
It's funny how much this is coming up today, but I've had 3 rage blackouts in my life where I've like just blacked out, come to, and then you're like, something bad has happened, right? I never hurt anyone else, luckily, but I like trashed an apartment, lost my mind at City Hall, and once at a job, and all 3 of them, you're like, if I didn't go try to get help, we could be talking about a different story. You know what I mean? Like I just come to and I've like beaten the shit out of someone or something, or myself because I don't know.
I'm talking to you from like a jail cell Zoom.
Yeah.
Call.
Hey, I'm the best stand-up in this prison. I crush. every life. I mean, that's how Joey Diaz made it, right? He did stand up.
Yeah. He started doing
prison
stand up
lunch.
in his prison because he kidnapped somebody with a Uzi.
That story's crazy.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
Some people just
crazy.
have different lives. Like I just thinking about that sometimes, of just thinking about all of the different. I was watching this new documentary on Netflix where like Elon Musk finally partnered up with NASA, and they're like sending people again to the moon. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, imagine there was this family where both the husband and the wife are astronauts. I'm like, imagine that's your parents. Like how insane, like what your view on reality becomes when you grow up with parents that are astronauts. Same thing, I saw an interview with like Haley talking about growing up with Eminem as her dad.
Yeah,
she was like
that'd be
inviting her friends on a tour bus, and she just thought that was normal, and they're like losing their shit, right?
Yeah, and her dad is Eminem.
Yeah,
like the biggest rapper.
And he talks about you in his like it's
too much.
Couldn't understand it. Michael Jackson's kids said that they had the same thing. They thought everyone's parents were Michael Jackson, like that. You know what I mean?
Well,
had that much wealth and had that much whatever.
That's just stupid. What? Just like what? Leave the bubble for fuck's sakes.
I don't think he'd ever let them leave the bubble, man. They probably were locked in.
Pretty dead, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, now of course. But like as a child, you know, you're just like, oh, that's just dad. Michael Jackson, that's just dad.
That's just dad. Dadsy, you know, nothing to see here.
Dad and his little friends.
I was thinking about this the other day because like I was watching, you know, I was listening to some Louis C.K., like some of the newer stuff, and he doesn't talk about his kids now, which I thought was pretty interesting. And I was wondering if it was a result because he has two daughters, and they must be the age where they're starting to understand that like I was curious about. Like, did he just do it for their sake?
He was on Andrew Schultz's podcast.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, recently. You should listen to that podcast.
Yeah,
it's really,
that's cool.
Really good, with Joe List actually too. And he actually mentioned that like there was a turning point for him where he made his whole like career off of like the kids and the family stuff, right? And then he said that like after a while though, my kids are like grown up and they're out of the house now, so like what am I, you know, there's nothing there to really talk about. So I moved on to, you know, weirder stuff that I liked in the beginning. Like he said that he just changed up his material.
Really? He thinks he made it off that?
That's what he thinks he made it off of. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was a combination of that. That made him more, I guess, relatable to the everyday person. But
he hit like kind of a more mainstream on that.
Does he discuss what happened with him on the podcast at all, or
what happened?
Like his sexual
incident?
Misconduct.
No,
stuff.
I think it gets brought.
Not even a little bit.
It gets brought up as like a throwaway joke.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious because that's more what I say. It's like his daughters must have an opinion on that. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm sure he's had to apologize to his daughters like a million times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like,
interesting.
Because I'm sure like, if your dad did something or was accused of doing something like that, you're like, oh, I still gotta love him. He's my dad. But I also have to let him know that like, yeah, that's fucked up. Like, they're printing this in the New York Times. This is embarrassing for me. You know, I'm related to you. Like,
it becomes a whole thing, right? Like, it must be so difficult to navigate. Yeah, I was wondering also if that's why he doesn't talk about his kids right now.
It's interesting hearing his perspective on the whole thing, because now you'll listen to it and form your own opinion. But what I got from it was he was talking about how it's important to not stay at the top for so long, because then you get locked into this. Yeah, you see, you're already laughing. He spun it in such a beautiful way that I was like, oh yeah, that is a good career path. And then I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you don't want to spend too much time at the top, because then you get locked into that lifestyle and you can't really do any normal things anymore. You have to like go up there, get your audience, as many people as you can that like will ride with you forever. and go back down to just playing like clubs and putting out your own content on your website.
Okay,
like he literally laid out like exactly.
More like he had to. Yeah, okay, buddy. Well, for me, it's more like we can talk morality if you want. I spend a lot of time thinking about morality, and Louis is one that is actually very fascinating. I don't know if you've heard Sarah Silverman talk about it on a podcast, but she was like, when he asked and I said yes, he did it. When he didn't ask and I said no. Oh, when he did ask and I said no, he didn't do it. So I have to imagine that that's how he held himself with others. And then it gets into a weird area, like where it's like, yeah, you can still do fucked up things even within the boundaries of what we understand as consent, right? So it's like, now you're talking ethics and morality, and this is a minefield, because ethics to itself, my ethics and your ethics could be completely apart, right? Like when I hear a story of a husband cheating, I'm never like, fuck that guy, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, what was the relationship like?
Hey everybody, Johnny here. Just want to take a quick second to thank our newest Patreon subscriber, CLB. I appreciate your support, and because you are subscribed to the show for just $1 a month, you're getting this episode before anyone else. If you want to be cool like CLB, head to patreon.com/TheJohnnyRogers and join in on the fun. All right, now back to the episode.
Right, and people don't always agree with me on that because it's bad. It's like, yeah, but it's more new. There's more to it.
Yeah, life is nuanced. Like you can't. It's the frustrating thing is like we do that as humans because it is. I guess there is some psychological advantage to just reading something or someone at face value and just kind of making that. That's why there's so many like like race tropes or whatever you want to say, like common things that you can say. It just helps us contextualize that group of people in our own mind and kind of compartmentalize that. But it's so bad for actual complex and nuanced situations where there's so many different layers to it, because your gut reaction is to just place that blanket thought. Like it's just easier for you to just decide this is what I think about that and move on.
Yeah, then
instead of actually
understand it.
Yeah, ask people questions and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I know better than anyone. So, right, like it's been a crazy couple of years, and I wish I could just freely open up and talk about things, but there's things you can and can't, and nobody knows me a lot of the time, which that part's hard. And then people have also just decided who I am for me a lot of the time, without even talking to me or understanding me in any way. And so, that's what I read that book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I went to the groups that he talks about.
Interesting. What did you
really
think
with the
about
intention? I love group. I think group is the most one of the most important therapies to try. You don't have to like it, and you don't have to do it. It might not be for you, but I have bits about it now in my act, but it's really just peer support and different from a therapist, because a therapist is a professional who studied and understands, but in group it's just like 11 other guys like you who are like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and you just talk idea. There's no topic off limit, there's no ideas off limit. You can bring whatever you want to your session, and you'll get a platform at some point to talk through some things that you're thinking about, even if it's like super dark or sad or right. It's just important. And again, not for everyone. Like I'm one of these people that has to constantly be getting things off my chest. Otherwise it eats me alive. And I just lose my mind. So group for that is so good. Like so good.
Yeah, I find that with myself too. If I'm just like, I think that's why
turn my light on.
Yeah, go for it. That's why I just like, if I really start getting obsessed with an idea, whether it's like, oh, I need to read this book, or oh, I need to like make a song or something that I want to do, or write a new joke, I just put all of my focus on that. Because if I try to just go about my day while having that thought in my head, can't. Like I'll just be so
Interesting.
distracted the entire time. Like when I was making this album right here, every day while I was working, I had like a remote job where I was working from home. Every day when I was working, I was also like listening to a beat and trying to like write lyrics on the side.
Is that music?
Yeah. I put out
that's
like
cool.
a half-hour music, like hip-hop album.
Oh, I didn't know
And-
you did that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Good
I
for
put
you,
it on
bro.
Spotify and iTunes.
I gotta
and
listen
then,
to it after this. That's
Yeah.
Oh, I hope it's good. I just pray to God it's good. Because I don't want to have to talk to you and then be like, man, that. Because I'll be honest, you know. What I mean? Like,
Yeah.
bro. It's
No,
I'm
dude.
sorry.
You
It's so
can go back. You can go back through any of these podcasts. Actually, I was talking to Mike Rita about it, and he was like, he's like, you're good. He goes, you need to like auto-tune your voice or something. He just went right in, and I was like, this is the shit I appreciate. You know what I mean? And we started laughing because I said I quickly realized when I was, for the first time ever, editing my own voice for a song, like what a ridiculous thought. I was like, oh, you need to like go to school for this. Like there are so many
audio engineer.
Yeah, you need to be
Yeah.
an audio engineer to do something like this, because there's so many moving pieces and so many different, like, just trying to Google this information, you'd spend like weeks upon weeks just reading through stuff. And I tried a little, and I mean, I like to think that I also just did it for myself, because it became like almost like a confidence challenge. Like my buddies and I, when we were younger, we would just like dare someone to just like go up to a girl and get her number, and you weren't even going to like use it, you know what I mean? Like it was just to get over that fear and like really test your confidence in that sense, because that confidence is like, just for me at least, important as a man. Like I just need to feel that if I want to do something, I can do it, and I don't really give a fuck what people are gonna give their opinions on. And what that does is it allows me to take criticism and actually use it, like apply it and make my shit better, instead of like getting down on myself or thinking that I'm not good enough, which is what I see a lot constantly in men, is they're like, I'm not good enough, like all the fucking time. And I was like, it's just a confidence choice. Like you just have to choose to be confident, and that kind of gets rid of that not good enough.
That's a tough thing to say, right? Like, because I'm hyper confident in a lot of ways, right? Like I can get on stage and talk to people, and people have called me smug and arrogant in my life nonstop. But then
those are people who wish that they were confident, though. That's coming from a place of like envy.
I'm fucking deeply insecure. You know what I mean? like deeply insecure, and it's just the dichotomy of it, right?
Yeah, but like what you need to realize is like we all are. Like I'm deeply insecure as well, like with a lot of shit. But I think that is like your gut check almost. Like you can go with what your brain is telling you all day, but then like if in your gut it doesn't feel right, like I could have put out the first draft of every song I made, but my gut told me that I could do better. My brain was like, be confident, just release it. It doesn't matter. You don't need to spend time editing this. And I was like, I want it to be better. Like, I know I can make it better. Let me try. And I think that's what.
Well, that's good instinct to know that it can always be better and you can always get better. You're never done learning. But also, you don't want to fall into the perfectionist trap. Where you're like, it's got to be perfect. It's like, that's not a thing. It's never going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Just put it away, you know?
That's what I realized too with this.
I gotta turn this light on. Hold on.
Oh yeah, go for it. Well, check the Twitch chat if you're watching on Twitch. Thank you very much. This will be Foxy G.
Sorry about that.
I'm just saying hi.
Oh, there's people.
There's 3 people watching.
Dick. There's 3 new people. What's up, 3 people? Comics or like?
I have no idea.
Regular homies.
Probably just maybe people who follow me from the YouTube, and then they've seen the messages to come over to Twitch. So It's always good when you can kind of take people and be like, come follow me over here. I'm on this platform now.
I just started my YouTube channel. I'm at like 55 subscribers.
Nice. Go follow.
But what I learned is like you gotta be like so consistent with it. Then like last week my mom was in town. I was just like, it was like a whole thing. I didn't even get to editing the videos, and now I'm a week behind. And it's like, well, does that make me lose all the momentum I was?
Not necessarily. You can build momentum at like really any time.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to your channel right now.
Oh, sick. Yeah. It's just so I'm putting out short clips on Instagram with an extended clip of the same bit on YouTube, and then the full set is available on my Patreon.
Oh, dude, that's smart. I like that.
That way you can see like, I mean, I will repeat jokes obviously in full sets.
Yeah. But then people can see the growth,
yeah, you can see it. And I'm using all my design skills, right? Like you're seeing all this stuff I do myself.
No, this is really clean, man. This is great.
Yeah, and I mean, like if
I would say make yourself brighter. You gotta.
Yeah.
You can always fix that.
A lot of the time, it's the quality of the photo.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I find that really actually works on YouTube, because YouTube is such an interesting platform that I've been kind of exploring more and more. The thing that I notice works the best is just a single image. Just literally something. When people use YouTube, they use it like some people at least, they use it like a search engine. They use it because they're like looking for something. And most of the time it's like a video of something. So if you kind of have the main image of the thumbnail as like that topic that the video is about, and people are clicking on it expecting almost to see, more information about that, and then they're kind of brought into a joke about it, I think that will get more clicks. And like I'm finding that hard too, because I have like, you want to build also some personal branding for yourself. So like even me, for all of the thumbnails, I've got myself also in the thumbnail from the podcast episode. But I'm like, is it better to just switch everything over? Because I had another video that I did just all about like did you see the Minions thing, the Gentle Minions, where they were like, kids were fucking raging at the Minions premiere in the movie theater. They're like throwing bananas. Dude, it was this crazy like viral thing. And like cops were coming, like being called in to like take these kids who were being like rowdy in the movie theater. It's nuts. But like that video, kind of single image, and 20K views. And I was like, oh, well, fuck me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, why can't I get that on my podcast episodes? It's like, go watch the podcast episodes.
I mean, someone was explaining it to me that like you should, if you're going to make content like that, it's about what's trending. Right. And, that's one way to get attention. But I took this course on how to like side hustle while having a job. And the main thing I learned in that course was just do what you want to do it all the time, consistently. And eventually people will notice. Right. Yeah. Like it's just the people who want to like it will like it. Right. You just got to be putting it out at the right time.
Yeah.
Consistent. And honestly, my Instagram, if I only have like 3,000 something followers, but it came about from just committing to putting out stand-up, right? I went from like 1,400 to 3,000 something in like about, I would say 4 months, so.
Yeah. So you can see real tangible growth there, right? Like,
yeah, I had one bit go, not viral, but like it got shared like 37 times. And then from that, I got like 300 followers, right? So it was like, oh shit, like, okay, but cool, let's do that more.
Yeah. The Instagram Reels thing has been interesting to watch too, because like you'll see some that just go insane, like the amount of views. Because in the beginning, they were also sharing it to like Facebook. So on your Facebook feed, you would also see like IG Reels across the top as well. And it's like, God damn. It's actually like people are bitching and complaining that like Instagram is moving away from its original state, which is, it advertised itself as a photo sharing app. So naturally, the people who were first on it would expect it to continue to be this photo sharing app. And now it's more video, which is actually really good for comedians, for artists, for content creators in general, because now you have like an even bigger audience.
I find when I post like static stuff, I get more engagement from the people who are already following me and in my life. Whereas if I post a reel, it's a lot more like strangers. And so it's like, that's, you know, because you're just feeding that algorithm. It's like, give it nom. And you're like, okay, here you go. Right? But I don't know what I'm doing. I just make stuff and then hope people like it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the main point, right? Just as long as what you're doing, you enjoy.
And the club is the best, man. Honestly, like Backroom Comedy Club, we opened it in end of February. And honestly, it started as just like an idea to get on stage more, really. But now that we're in it, again, here you'll see my design on the posters, and then I cut all the videos with the things, and I take all the photos. So like, this is just me showing my content skills pretty much like the whole time, which, you know, getting better at things all the time. Only picked up photography in the pandemic, and already I can see like exponential growth every time I go to edit and take photos and stuff. It's pretty fun. I'm just having fun with it. And then on top of that, I get to do stand-up all the time, which that's always been the goal and the dream. And I was paying off I had a set on Monday, and I was just like, shit, son, let's go.
Yeah, I love all the different like types of shows that you're doing too, how it's like themed each night.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of differentiate each show to give it its own thing, right? Like, basically you're trying to build a following for each show individually, right? And then you hope that it extends across the whole club. But in that initial phase,
you can almost, if you get to a point where it's like regular audiences for each time, like those types of shows sound like names of podcasts almost, right? Like you could almost live stream that specific show out to a channel as well.
Yeah,
you really like want to grow this like into a different, you know, studio type, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning right now. We're building Coke Dad's a set, like an actual set.
Nice. Are you gonna have like a toy baby on that?
That would be funny, actually. That's really funny, actually. Our background is like how you've got albums there. We're gonna get stickers of all our baby photos, like kid photos and stuff. I think that's gonna look pretty cool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird, but funny.
Oh, there was another thing that I always tell people when I'm like mentioning you is like, I remember when I was on stage at Absolute and you were in the green room, and then I guess you didn't know that I was on stage. You thought that I had just came into the club and like came into the green room, and you were like, Johnny, somebody was doing your jokes on stage. I was like, what? You're like, yeah, dude. I could hear them. I was like, that was me. Like, oh shit. And then it was the fact that you were like, I heard it and I was like, oh, that's a Johnny Rogers joke. And I was like, sick. All right, cool.
Yeah.
It gave me like confidence that I had like at least like one or two jokes that sounded like me. It was identifiable. Cool. And I was like, yeah, that's sick. I never had that.
Well, I'm glad we shared that moment. I wish I remembered it, but I'm glad we shared it.
I just had to bring it up.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. You had some good sets at Absolute when I've seen you. Are you doing much stand-up now? Or?
I'm kind of like picking and choosing here in Ottawa because like I don't live like directly in the city, so it's kind of a bitch to get all the way in. But I like it. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm not grinding hard with stand-up by any stretch of the imagination. Like I haven't gone out to any open mics since being here. I've just been focusing on building this podcast up, doing more YouTube stuff, kind of building out that audience. Because I transferred over from working for like a big YouTube channel where I did have like a following from there. So when I left that and I just kind of started doing my own thing, I was like, okay, I need to focus on this so that I don't lose these people from there. Yeah. I need to like keep growing this here versus like going out every. It's great, man. I love it so far. Like I absolutely love just like working on this, and then I even started doing like YouTube channel work for this other like big YouTube studio that they do like short film like life lessons. So they just have me manage their YouTube page, and I love it. Like it gives me the time to also like think about my own shit because I can just be on the computer. So just like what you said with the comedy club and like learning photography, how you can kind of loop all those things in together. But stand up, I love doing stand up. Like it's the best. It's the best.
It's the most
best thing
you've heard it 1,000 times different. Like it's the most addictive thing.
Oh my god.
And it's like, yeah, of course, you know, to get like a
when a joke lands, there's no better feeling. Yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah.
And I've also found too, like since kind of picking and choosing the shows that I want to do, like I'm in the Mike McDonald Summer Comedy Competition with Yuk Yuks. So I've passed through, I don't know when the second round is. I just have to wait and hear back, I guess, probably in September. But yeah, I'm just doing like these type of shows, essentially just going in with my set that I know that works and then just hitting with it. And ever since doing like 2 years of nothing but like the hip hop album, now doing comedy on stage, I have like a different like rhythm. Like I feel much more relaxed. Cool. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing that happened just with like my vocal pattern and just like my how I feel on stage. It just feels like more relaxed and like I'm hitting beats almost. It was really interesting.
I thought you know, to come back to the pandy, it made me, gave me the space from stand up in that, like, it was so unhealthy. It's such an unhealthy thing to chase some of the time because you get caught up in people are getting things you've wanted, or, you know, and like it just clouds the mind. And pandemic gave me the space at least to, firstly, now I just know how to keep myself in the present, right? And that on stage, if I was going to give anyone advice, I was like, if you can learn to do that, you're ahead of the curve so quickly. Just like that, you can understand that there's people here and they don't, some people don't want to just be told jokes, you know what I mean? Like, it's like being at a party and someone just coming up and telling you a joke. No, you get to know them a little, you know, and then they're like, here's a joke, you know, like, yeah, it is a bit different on stage, but definitely that's been my big, like how you with the hip hop, that's been mine. And now I'm riffing a lot more. I'm improvising a lot more. And it turns out I'm pretty good at it.
I love when you're like fearful of trying something and then you find out you're good at it and you're like, oh, I just get.
I should have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah, like shit.
Yeah. Now I have a whole show, right? Like my Sunday show at the club is that. It's an all improvised riffing show to try and keep that muscle working. And eventually I hope to build like my own cult following to that show, to be like, this is what I can fucking do. Look how insane this talent is.
And there's some people who are just so interested in like hearing someone truly go off the top of their head and be saying stuff about the room in front of them, right? Like there's some people that don't want to sit at the front of the comedy club, and then there's some people who rush up there with like their cowboy hat on and their fucking goofy pants. They're ready to go. You know what I mean? They're like, make fun of me. Like I want to get, you know, they're all about it.
Hilarious when people are like, I don't want to sit in front. It's like, you know, I can still see you. It's so like you're in the fucking auditorium. You're at the, like, I can see you. Like you're
right
like
there, motherfucker.
Holds 42 seats. You don't think I can see the people on the back couch? Like, of course I can.
You're like preposterous. One question that I like asking people on the podcast is if you can make a phone call to 15-year-old Ariel, doesn't affect your universe whatsoever. Just give him a piece of advice, knowing what you know now.
Learn how to let go earlier, right? If you learn that skill set, I think, you know, if I learned that early, I still don't get it, you know what I mean? Like, I still have days where like the things that have upset me for years comes up and it still upsets me. And it's like, I just want to let go, just want to move on. But it's just like any other skill. You got to go learn it, practice it, and keep trying it until you find it working, right? Like you gotta, everything is learnable. You just gotta put in the time and effort. And so I think that's what I would tell myself, does this cover your question?
Yeah. That's great.
I'd also be like, dick, and then hang up the phone.
He's like, what the hell? I'm still an asshole, even in another universe.
Virgin, hang up the phone.
Yeah. That'd be so funny. Another like kind of addition to that question, because a guest heard it wrong and they thought that I was saying like they heard 50-year-old self.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But like, I also started thinking of it in terms of like, yeah, these video episodes are kind of like a time capsule. Like in, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you can probably still come back to YouTube and it'll still be here and you can skip through it and watch it if you want to. So if you want to leave a message for 50-year-old Ariel, some people say like, I hope you've done this by now, or like, you know what I mean? Like there's different ways that you can go about it. But
I mean, I know my biggest fear in life is waking up one day and realizing I'm that old, angry guy. You know, that guy you see? It's just like, what's wrong with you? I just really don't want to be that guy. So I guess I would say, I hope you're not that guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm working really hard. I'm trying to enjoy life again and all this stuff. But it's like, I don't want to. 50-year-old me better be still vibing, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to enjoy. This is like a big patch there where I was like, I would have happily just, not woken up almost every day, I would just been like, yeah, I'm good with that. Still to this day, a little bit, I think it'd be a nice reprieve, but not in a way that I'm in trouble. Like I just feel nice, you know, but to just be done worrying about nonsense, minutia, you know what I mean? Ooh,
every time I look at every time I read space news or I'm looking up at the stars or I see the moon, I'm just like, we're on a planet. Like, why am I paying bills? What the fuck? What is happening? You know what I mean? It kind of just insane. Brings everything back to like, oh shit, like I'm just like a speck of dust on this little
you ever listen to Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot?
That
thing is fucking, every time I'm super anxious I'll listen to that and it just kind of brings me back. Right?
Like, oh, I'm with everybody in this little ship here or whatever this is. One more thing that we're gonna do, and we're getting a triple threat of questions on this episode.
Sure,
sometimes we only get one, sometimes we get two, but we're doing all three on this one.
I like it.
I stole this one from Hot Ones. What this game is I'm going to show you a photo and I'm going to show it to the live audience as well, and you just have to add some context.
Okay. So just riffing on the spot, huh?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Oh my God, dude. This was me at 19 years old. I came to Canada because I wanted to go to school here, but I was working in music at the time. And this is the singer of Bring Me the Horizon. And we like hung out after a show and stuff. And it was pretty fun. Different life though.
You got the pink in the hair.
I fucking hate this guy, if I'm honest. I fucking hate him. He's such a piece of shit. All my motivations were wrong in my early life, it's all about, and those motivations led me to stand up, which I'm grateful for now. But on some level it was like, I always just wanted to be liked, and and I'm kind of glad that that took me to stand up. But to be good at stand up, you have to be like, I really don't care. Right? I don't. These are the things that make me laugh, and I hope they make you laugh too.
That's all it is, right?
Yeah, and I can't believe you pulled up that photo of all them. There's so many bad ones on there.
I just went all the way back, and then I was like,
terrible.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
with my dyed hair. I had a green mohawk at one point. I'm surprised you didn't throw that one.
And the eyebrow ring too.
Eyebrow ring. I had a lip ring for a bit. I took that out because I couldn't eat corn on the cob anymore.
Oh my God.
I was like, no corn on the cob.
Fuck this.
Get out of here. I need to eat that. That shit's fire.
Enough of that. That's just nonsense. Now this comes out on Sunday. Do you have any other upcoming shows, or do you want to tell the people?
I'll just plug the club. We're open Wednesday to Sunday, 8 and 10 o'clock shows. We're working on other things all the time. Each show is different. Our weekend shows are really our pro shows, and then Thursday is like best up and comers, and Wednesday is like a pro-am, kind of like like how Yuks and Absolute do it. And then Sunday is my riff show, which I'm hoping to turn into something great. And then Brandon's Weirdo Carnival show is actually turning into one of the coolest shows in the city. It's a fucking zoo. It's like every week I think it can't get weirder, and then every week it gets weirder. So he used to run the show back in Brampton way back when, and then he started up again. So stand-up is banned on the show. You cannot do stand-up unless you're in character. You can do character stand-up, but you can't do regular stand-up. So what I do on that show, I do reaction. I do live reaction on that. So I play a podcast and I react. That's my variety piece.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and we just have, that show's just fun. Like we had a balloon guy, we've had magic, we've had, clown, sketch, improv. It's really fun.
You should get 11 in there. He's like an improvised rapper.
That'd be dope.
Where he just like, people just shout out topics.
Well, that's what Brandon does.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at
it. Dude, 11 is just unreal. Like I not seen anyone who I got to hang out with him for a little bit and kind of talk about, like, he kind of explained to me how he did it, and he literally explained to me how he does it while rapping. Like he rapped that to me, and I was just like, it was just mind blowing. You're just like,
that's a talent.
You're like, how are you just talking, but it sounds like a song? Like it doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'll check it by 11.
Yeah, 11.
Just written out like the word.
Yeah, just written out like the word. I'll send you some links and stuff too.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Also, don't forget to follow. Let me get this back up here. I was showing them here, so go follow Ariel Kagan Comedy as well on TikTok.
Yeah, I haven't been posting on there. I need to get back to it. I haven't posted on Twitter in since September 1st, 2020.
Maybe by the time that people watch this episode,
I'm still advertising my album, which came out in 2018, bro. Oh man, that's
all
so
my search results. Yeah,
it's so embarrassing. But yeah, just check out Backroom Comedy Club. Is really what we're pushing right now. It's one of the best things in the city. I think so much good comedy going on right now, and we're just doing our version of it. And I'm excited to see where it ends up.
Yeah, man. So everybody go check out Backroom Comedy Club, especially if you're in the Toronto area. Go check out all of those shows. And like I said, go follow Ariel Kagan on everything. All the links are in the description down below. But until next time, everybody, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers. This is Ariel Kagan. Any last thoughts, Ariel?
No, just thank you, man. Like, it was fun to catch up. Haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, dude.
Glad you're doing well. I hope to see you do stand up when you come back to the city. Obviously, message me for spots, but don't message me like the week before. That's
no.
I mean, that's so much. People are like, oh, I'm coming from Vancouver.
I'm in town. Yeah, you're like, what the?
You don't think I booked the shows already? Like,
yeah, like you book it the day of or something. Yeah, oh shit, let me see if 8 comics can get here now.
And then they're always like, oh, we get messages all the time, and they're like, yo, spot Thursday, and you're like, bro, it's Wednesday, like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, just trying to fill their calendar now. Oh fuck yeah, I will definitely let you know far in advance when I would be coming there. That's how I plan.
A couple weeks is good. Like a month is enough.
A month,
I think, for us to move things around if we've already booked it, or if see what makes sense. But yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks to the people watching this. And
yes, thank you to everybody on Twitch. Turn on those notifications on Twitch. All right.
Do it.
Have a great night, man.
Later, man. Bye.
Take care.
You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.